Hey Terraformers, it's Andrew Brown, and we are continuing on with our implementation. So we we do have a bucket set up, but we want this bucket to be configured for static website hosting. Most major cloud service providers allow you to use cloud storage as static website hosting, which is very cheap, scales very well, and not too hard to set up. So what we'll do is we will get back into our account here. I'm going to go and create a new issue. This will be setting up static, we'll say S3 static website hosting. And we'll go ahead and submit that issue. We're going to do a few things here. So we want to configure our bucket for S3 static website hosting. We want to upload an index HTML file. We want to upload an error.html file. We want to update our outputs for the static website hosting URL. Okay, so we have a few things there. I'm not sure. There's one thing I want to check for our bucket because there might be something fancy we want to do for that. No, I think we'll be fine. Okay, so those are the things that we're going to do. We'll go ahead and hit update. And so those are the 4 things I want to tackle here. We'll go ahead and create our branch. We'll make our way back over to code. We'll drop down, open up that new branch. It must be coming second nature now, eh? We'll go ahead and hit git pod. We'll launch up a new environment there. And so, we can set up static website hosting by looking up the docs, but sometimes it's fun to use ChatGPT, but also it's a great opportunity to see what ChatGPT can generate out because I expect it to generate out the wrong stuff and kind of give you a warning as to when it makes sense to use these tools and when not to, and just to be cautious when you do. Hard word to say for me, at least. Let's go over to ChatGPT. And we want to set up static website hosting. So write Terraform for static website hosting for an S3 bucket. Okay, so we're going to type that in. And it's going to output stuff here. And I mean, this looks like something, right? So it's outputting a bucket policy, static website hosting, and it's doing the outputs. That looks great. So let's grab some of this and see if it actually works. It's not going to, but I'm going to show you why. So here we have the static website. We'll get to these ones here in a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. I'm going to go over to our modules into our main directory, and I'm going to paste it below here as a new resource. Okay, we'll say allow. And so now we have static website hosting. We need to reference our buckets. So the way we would do that is we will just start typing. Here we'll do AWS S3 bucket. AWS S3 bucket. If you're wondering, like, how would you reference something that's top level, you'd have to pass them as environment variables, their exact values. That's how you do it. We're going to do website bucket here, and then this would just be the bucket name, like that. So that is now configured to set up for that. And I'm just going to bring this on over here. And we'll go ahead and type in clear and terraform init. Okay. So we've terraformed init. Now we're going to do terraform plan and see if it can do it. Okay, and we get an error. So it says argument is deprecated. With module AWS S3 bucket static website, use the AWS S3 bucket website configuration instead. Why did ChatGPT give us the wrong thing? And the reason why is that ChatGPT is trained on a particular version of things. So I think it's as old as 2001, at least from the time of this video. And the AWS provider for 5.0 does not exist according to ChatGPT. So I'll show you what I mean. We'll go ask it. So what is the latest AWS Terraform provider version? Okay. It says, as of late update in 2001, I don't have real-time data. That's what it's saying. So it's not telling us the version. Hopefully it will tell us what version. Still not telling us. Maybe we could have wrote what version of the AWS Terraform provider does the code example for the static website bucket use? It doesn't explicitly specify, but I know it's 4 because that's what 4 was. And so the thing with, yeah, here it's showing 3 for some reason. The thing with Terraform is that I don't find that Terraform changes a lot, but the providers change considerably year to year. So those are the things that are more likely to go deprecated and you'll have to search on more. But here it says use the AWS S3 bucket website configuration. So what we're going to do, because we can't rely on, because it probably doesn't even know about it, we're going to have to go over to the documentation and get it ourselves. So we'll type in Terraform registry. We'll go over here. We'll go into the AWS or browse providers into AWS. We're going to go to documentation. We're going to paste this in the left-hand side, and now we have it, and we'll get an example here. We don't need all of it. You can see that some things are required, some things are optional. I'm going to grab this block for the time being, and we'll go back over here, and we're going to replace this here as such. And we're going to name this, what name did I want to name it? Website configuration. We'll call this website configuration. Site configuration. Okay, and so now we have to reference our bucket. So bucket, this is a website bucket. So we can say website bucket, and then we'll say bucket here. And so we have our index, our error. We don't need any routing rules. Okay, and we can just check the documentation, what is required and what's not. So we go down below here, required, error, optional, expected bucket owner, optional. This is optional. Most of it is optional, okay? So that's all we need to do to set this part of it. And so that should, set up static website hosting. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go here and type in clear, and we're going to do Terraform plan and see what happens. And this looks good. It's going to create a resource, and it's going to set up the configuration here. Yep. And we'll say Terraform apply. So yeah, a lot of folks think that, oh, I'm not a programmer, I can use ChatGPT, I can use these LLM models, but if they're out of date and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to get stuck. So, but we are using it, like you saw for variables, that worked out great, but not for everything. So this looks like it is deployed. We're going to make our way over to S3. I'm going to refresh here. We're going to look for that bucket. So there it is, because we've hard coded it. I want to go over to, I don't know, management. I always forget where it is. Properties. Somewhere here. Static website hosting. It's enabled. And so we get this bucket hosting URL. We want to output this because this is how we're going to see the website. We're not going to see anything here because we don't have any files in here, and we're getting a 403, which is totally fine. What I want to do is go back over here, and I want to get that output. So I'm going to split the screen. We're going to go to outputs in our nested module, and I want to get the URL there. So I'm just trying to find what that is. We can probably just go to the docs and check there. So we have attribute reference, so things that we would get. So we can get the website domain, the domain of the website endpoint. This is used to create the record alias, Route 53 alias, or the website endpoint. I'm interested in the website endpoint. We might want this later on when we hook it up to the CDN. But I'm going to go back over to here. And website domain, that's what I want. This is for the website configuration, yeah. So we'll go here. I'm going to say website endpoint. We can just add it as another output. Website endpoint. And we'll say value. And I'll say AWS S3 bucket website configuration. And then we'll say website endpoint. I'm autocomplete. I'm hitting tab to do that, so I don't have to perfectly type it in. So there it is. And we'll just say description here, might as well. Well, we don't need a description on that, but if we want to output this top level here, we're going to need to repeat this again. So we'll just go here and just say website endpoint. I'm going to put S3 so we can distinguish it between that one. And here we have our, so our output, so website endpoint. S3 static website hosting endpoint, okay? And now what we'll do is just type in clear, and we'll do a Terraform apply. I mean, we should have probably done a plan, but it's going to run it anyway, and we have to confirm it, so no reason to type plan and then do apply. We can just review here. So here all it's doing is changing the outputs. That's all we do want to change. And there we go. We have our new address here, but it doesn't really work or do anything. The thing that we need to do, and before we proceed, let's just update our docs quickly here. Going down below here. So this will be considerations when using ChatGPT with Terraform to write Terraform. LLM models, such as, I know we'll just say LLMs because it'd be large language models. That might bother some people. LLMs such as ChatGPT may not be trained on the latest documentation or information about Terraform. So it may likely produce older examples that could be deprecated. Often affecting providers. Okay. So hopefully that is clear. If you don't like the wording, you fix it. You find what information is going to work for you. But anyway, so we have that, but we don't have an index file. That's probably, well, that's one reason why it may not be working. So we want to upload a file. And so let's go ask ChatGPT about that, see if we can do it. So upload an index.html file to our S3 bucket. Now, this is kind of an action that you not necessarily want to do with Terraform, because Terraform is about managing the state of infrastructure, and this is a file. So even though Terraform can do it, and we are doing it in this bootcamp, we might not necessarily actually want to use Terraform to manage it. Here it is not using Terraform, using Terraform code. There we go. And so what I'm trying to say is that there are use case, like we're going to learn in this course that that there are things called provisioners, and you can remotely or locally execute commands where Terraform doesn't really want you to do that, even though it has the capabilities of it. They want you to use configuration management. If you have files, you want to have some kind of data management to manage files and not necessarily use Terraform. We're going to use Terraform for all three because we're just trying to learn the capabilities of it, but I'm not saying that this is the practice that you want to do in production, okay? So here it has an example, and apparently we can do that, and this is AWS S3 object. So what we'll do is just copy this over to our main TF, and we're just going to bring this down a line, and we'll paste this in. And so I don't think this is going to work because, again, I think this is the older provider syntax, but it's pretty close. But here it's saying, you know, specify the bucket, the key, the source, the tag. So what I want to do is go over here and take a look at what we have as an option. So I'm going to put this in here. Whoops. We'll grab this. Sometimes the copy doesn't work properly, so I got to right click and we'll paste that in. We'll clear that out, please. And so notice it's not exactly matching. I know it's in here. We'll say S3 object maybe. Here it is. The AWS S3 bucket object is deprecated and will be removed in future versions. Use Amazon or AWS S3 object. Okay. Well, where is it? I typed it in here. There we go. Okay, and so this is the one that we should be using. So I'm going to just paste this up here. It's always good when we have reference to it. We should do that for this as well, the website configuration. So I'm just going to go back, website configuration. We'll grab this, we'll go back, we'll paste this above. Okay. And then we'll scroll on down here. And so we have this file that we are attempting to upload. This is obviously not the right way of doing it. So we'll go here and we'll copy this example. And we'll paste this in here. There we go. That looks good to me. Again, I'm just looking off screen to see what I might have done differently. But we want to specify the bucket name, so we know how to do that. That's just going to be AWS S3 bucket, website bucket. Then we have our key, which we want it to be called. This is going to be index.html, because that's what the key is supposed to be. And then we have to provide a path to source. Let me just double check what we did here for the other ones. Okay, yeah, so we, there's a few ways that we can specify source. There's probably a variable for it, but let me just go take a look quickly, okay? All right, sorry, I'm back. So what we want to look up is path Terraform. So this is a special kind of references or variables within Terraform that allow us to reference either relative locations or other things like that. And so here we have path module, path root, path CWD, Terraform workspace. So I want to go ahead and grab this because we're definitely going to want this in our documentation. So I'm going to go over to here and we'll just say working with files in Terraform. And the first is going to be, whoops, I did not want that. I want this here. Go back over here. And we'll paste that in here. This is going to be special path variable or reference. I'm going to go here and path variable. So in Terraform, there is a special variable called path that allows us to reference local paths. So we have path.module. So get the path for the current module. Path.root. Get the path for the root of the project, or the root module, I suppose. Those are the two that I really care about. CWD is the file system path for the original working directory from where you can ran Terraform apply. I'm not sure how much we're going to use that one. I think this one's going to be a lot more useful. But the idea is we want to get that root. And so I just want to see if we can use Terraform console to read it. Terraform console is a interactive way to kind of like troubleshoot and debug stuff. We're going to do that a few times in this course. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter and see what happens here. And so we're going to just type in path.root to see what we get. And notice it's giving us a period of exactly where we are. Let's try path.module, and that gets us a period. So that's not very useful, at least not in here. I was hoping that it'd be a lot more interesting, but it's not. But I'm going to just tell you that when you use path.module in a module, it's going to make a lot more sense. So in this one here, we want to specify the source to the file. So we're going to need a new directory. I'm going to make a new directory here on the left-hand side called public. Here, new folder, public HTML, or sorry, public. And in there, I'm going to make a new file in here called index.html. And we'll have one called error.html. I'm just going to quickly put something in here saying, hello terraformers, and say error found. Okay, so we have those two. These aren't valid HTML pages. We'll come back to that. But if we want to utilize this one, we could give it the absolute path. So we'll do that first. I'm going to just drag this down to here to get the full path. We're going to hard code this value in, okay? So we'll go ahead and place that in here. And for now, I'm just going to take out the e tag. And we'll talk about what that is in a bit. So I think this is okay. It's just wrapping, so it looks like it's broken, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Let's turn off wrapping. So we'll say here, take off word wrap. It is breaking, so that's not good. So we'll hit enter there. Okay. And what we'll do is we'll see if we can deploy this file and it will take it. Because we want to see if this absolute path is going to work. So I'm going to type here clear, and we're going to type in tf plan and see if it complains. Okay. And here it says, oh, we need to have bucket on the end here. Okay, so we'll hit up again, try this again. And it looks like it's going to create that file. Yes, it looks good. We'll go ahead and now do apply, and we'll just say auto approve. And we got to spell auto approve correctly. Wish it was just like approve, or maybe there is a shorter flag. I just don't know what it is. And so now that should be deploying. So we'll go over to AWS. What we're interested in seeing is there a file uploaded here? So we'll refresh, and there it is. So it uploaded the file, no problem. The thing is, you don't really want to hard code values like this. This wouldn't make the module very modular or portable. So one thing we can do is we can do interpolation. And so I can do this, and it will insert it into the string here, and we'll do path.root. Because even though we're in this module, we want to reference at the root. And this actually is going to be a level outside of it. Nope, it's the same level, okay. And so then here, we're at the top level, we should be able to do public, and that should work. And I'm gonna go here and that's not right. Hold on here. What happened? Why is it saying main.tf? Oh, you know what? We uploaded the wrong file. We just uploaded a Terraform file. If we download this, this is Terraform. I know that's wrong. Okay, so what I'm going to do, going too fast, have to slow down. We're going to drag this out. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. People are probably watching like, Andrew, why are you uploading a Terraform file? It's when you go too quick. It's when you go into autopilot. So we'll paste that in there. That is the correct link. But while we're here, let's go here and just take this part out, because this is going to be, I think, that path.root here. Okay. We'll type in clear, and we'll do tf apply. Well, we'll do apply. It's going to show us what's going to happen anyway. We'll see if it can pick that up. And it looks like it has noticed that there's a change with that file. Good. And we'll type in yes. Okay. And so that file should have now changed. And we see the time, September 14, 2023, 15/20/23. So yeah, I do believe that file did change. And I think it uploaded, but just to be sure, what I want to do is I just want to go here, say 111, save that file, and let's see if it picks it up, okay? Another thing we could do is we could probably test that this website address and see if it returns a website. It probably shouldn't, because we don't have our bucket policy open, which is totally fine. But I'm going to just download this file and look at its contents. And can I just open it? Not exactly. I'm just going to open this up in anything. I got Visual Studio Code or something installed locally here. I'm just opening it up. 1 second. Okay, great. So this file is what we think it is. Good. But now what we'll do is we'll just apply a change and see if that works. So I'm going to go, I just updated the file so it has the stuff in here. And we'll say Terraform apply and see if it notices any change. And see, it says no changes to our infrastructure, but we changed the contents of the file. Why is that? Well, it's because the way this works is it has the source, but it's not checking the data, right? It's just, it checks, like the way Terraform works is that we have this TF state file, right? And it's saying, hey, did any of these values change? So when you look at this, that file, wherever that is, S3 object here, okay, and it has its attributes. There's no like data attributes because you wouldn't want to pass all the data. So there has to be some way to know that the data has changed. And one way we can do that is with an e-tag. So e-tags, so a response header as identifier for the specific version of a resource. It lets the cache be more efficient and save bandwidth. But the thing that we use it for is we use it to take the content and generate a unique e-tag. So if the content changes, then the e-tag will change. And that's the way we're going to have to do that. So down here, we will generate out an e-tag using the file MD5. So this is a function that will create a hash based on the content. So if we go over to Terraform and look at variables, we'll just say functions. Terraform has a bunch of functions built in. And if we go down here on the left-hand side, we have one for files. We're going to use a bunch of these in the bootcamp. And so the one we're looking at is, where? It's like the MD5 one, right? Go here, file, MD5. Not sure why we don't see it here. Definitely exists. But anyway, it's definitely there. Maybe it's for encoding. Okay, well, anyway, I know it exists. I'm not sure why it doesn't show up here in the documentation, but the idea is that we're taking an MD5, that's a cryptographic algorithm that's going to turn the contents of the file into an e-tag. So we're going to have to specify this path here twice. Okay. And that should resolve our issue. So we'll go down here, type in clear, we'll say Terraform apply. And see if it picks it up. And it does, okay? So that e-tag is what's going to fix our issue. Now we do have this path.root here to reference the file, but it'd probably be better practice for us to pass in an environment variable, or not environment variable, a Terraform variable, because we might want to give the flexibility of this module for anyone to change the address. So if I don't want to call it index.html, I want to call it something else, and it'll still get stored here, I'd have the ability to do so. So that's what I want to do here, is I want to set up a variable for that. So we'll go here on the left-hand side, and I just want to see in my older code base here if I decided to put any kind of rules or restrictions on that. I think I did. So what we'll do here is we'll go over to ChatGPT. We'll say, write a Terraform variable declaration for, we'll call it index HTML file path, and ensure that it's a valid path. Okay, and see what it comes up with. Okay, and so this one is using the Terraform function called file exists. Now in the exam, I don't remember it asking too many functions, but I know in my course I do cover a lot of different functions. So you should just be aware that there's these things here that can help you at any given time. This is not the function page. We had it here a second ago. Over here, right? So, you know, you can use ChatGPT to kind of get an idea of some of these functions. You can click through them and figure them out yourself. The one we're going to use here is files exist. It's just going to check that the directory exists before we use it. So what I want to do here is copy this thing here, because this looks perfect to me. And we're going to go into the variables within the module. We'll go down below and we'll paste this in here. Okay, and then we want to have this at the top level because we learned that we need to do that. So we'll go down here, we'll paste that in here. It gave us the whole thing, that's totally okay. I'll do that. And so now we need to specify this. I'm going to go to the index file path here. I'm going to paste this in. And I'm just going to do a Control C to kill that out. And we'll drag in our index.html file here. Good. And we're going to copy this. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in. So now we have the path for our index file. We'll do that for error as well because we're going to have to do that anyway. Okay, and so now we have those absolute paths. I'm going to go into here. I'm just going to grab these two lines. I'm going to put this into TFRs. Okay, and so now those are set. And yeah, we might as well go and set up the other one for in the main here because we have it for this HTML file, but we're going to want it for the error one as well. So I'll go here. I'm just going to copy this and we'll go down below and I'm going to say error HTML. We'll go back up here and we need to give it the path. So that's going to be var and then index HTML file path. Same thing here, var index HTML file path. And I'm going to copy those two. We'll go down here. This one's going to be error. Not sure if I have this here. Paste that down there. This will be for error. Error. Same thing, error, error, error. And we'll go back to our top level here. And we'll go to error. Okay, and so now, looking at this, we should be able to Terraform apply. Okay, give it a moment. Now here it's complaining there's a duplicate object. It's because we didn't change the names here. So I'm going to name this, let me see what I did in my older code, just so I can stay on track here. Yeah, okay, so we'll call this one error HTML, and then this one will be called index HTML. Great. And so we'll try this apply again. So we'll say Terraform apply. TF apply. I'm kind of getting tired of typing that constantly, so maybe for next time what we could do, I'm looking for it here. We made a bin script for an alias. I'm going to go down here. I'm going to make a new alias. I want to, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it alone. I was just thinking that I could make another one here, but it seems like it's a lot of work to modify that bash script. It'd be nice if we could go like TF AO, you know what I mean, and do Terraform apply, because we seem to be doing that a lot. But we'll try this again, TF apply. And it says missing required argument. The error HTML file path is required but was not defined. Okay. Error HTML file path, it's there. We'll go down here. Error HTML file path, that is there. Oh, you know where it is? It's in the main file here. We have to pass them along. So we have error HTML file path, which is var error HTML file path. Same thing with the index. Okay. And so here it should upload both the files and we'll name them correctly. We'll go ahead and type in yes. We'll give it a moment here. And so that should work. I'm just waiting for that to upload there, so it's just taking some time, okay? We'll give it a moment, all right? It seems to be having some issue creating these files. I'm not 100% sure why. I'm gonna go over to our bucket, take a look at the contents and see what is going on here. We'll give this a refresh. The error HTML is here, but it's really hanging pretty bad here. Well, it seems like the error HTML one uploaded, but it shouldn't take this long. So, you know, let's double check our variables here and make sure that they're okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll be back here in a second, okay? All right, while I was waiting here, it actually did error out and saying reading S3 object couldn't find resource within the module for line 34. So that's kind of interesting that we have that issue. Let's see if we can debug it and figure out what the issue is. I'm just going to zoom out here for a moment. And we'll double check here. We'll go to main. So here, index.html file path. Line 34 is the issue. Couldn't find resource. So we'll go up and check the apply. It's going to create that file. It's going to create that file. What's it talking about? Why? What do you mean you can't find it? We're going to go back over to our outputs here, or sorry, our variables. No, sorry, our TFRs. Yep. Index.html file path. The file looks like it should be where it is. So I'm not 100% sure what it ran into. I'm going to try to do a Terraform apply and see what happens again. Now, I'm not sure if some of these files are still there. Let's go back and check. The error is still there. And so it's going to attempt to create the index because the other one does already exist. So let's see if we can actually figure it out this time. And so now it worked. So yeah, sometimes things don't work out exactly as you expect, but you have to have confidence of what it is that you're doing, because sometimes things lie to you when you know there's nothing wrong. There probably could have been a latency issue, like a networking issue, nothing wrong with Terraform, but just communication between our cloud developer environment, AWS. That is always a factor to consider. So we got those files uploaded, so that is in great shape. Now we still can't see our bucket, but I feel like we've done enough in this video. Let's go over to our documentation, see if there's something that we can add. So we'll go over to, where is it? Our journal here into week 1. And we have path variables. So we talked about that. And we should probably give an example of it. So let's go over here to our code, wherever it was, main TF. And so I'm just going to copy this one as an example. And we'll go over here to our README. Nope, not there. Our journal. Here we go. I'm going to paste this in as an example. So what I just want to do is just show an example. So we could just say this, and we'll say path.root, and this would be public index.html as an example. Okay. And I'm not really going to cover the functions in the documentation. If you want to do that, you can go ahead. Well, I mean, we are talking about working with files, so we can do that. So we can say file exists function. This is a built-in Terraform function to check the existence of a file. And we use that over in our variables. So that was over here. Go over here. So that could be an example of that. All right, so that is one example. We haven't talked about things like file set or files. This reads the content of a file. Say file MD5 Terraform. Here it is. It is here. It's just, oh, I guess it's because there's official documentation. Well, they're both official, but there's like reference documentation, and then there's like tutorial documentation. Because we're pointing to tutorial documentation, I don't think it was listing all examples. So here is one that we can do here. So let's just file MD5. We'll provide that example. We can also find the other one here. This was file system. So file exists. We'll dump that in here. Okay. And if you want to pretty that up a bit, you can if you like. The documentation there. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. So what I'll do, so I'll go here, and I think that's good enough for documentation. We'll add this all up here. What did we do here? We enabled, this is 27, so enabled static website hosting. Uploaded index and error file via Terraform. So we'll go ahead and commit that. We'll sync it. Let's tear down our infrastructure here. Terraform destroy. Auto approve. That should work. There we go. Okay, we'll check back to see if it's working. I'm pretty sure it's going to. I'm going to go ahead and make the new pull request here. We're going to drop down, go to this branch. And remember the direction to which you're branching. We'll create the pull request. And I'm going to go ahead and create that pull request. Take a moment to check your files, check the files that you're changing. It's always good to double check and make sure you're not putting anything that is bad in there, right? We don't want to hard code anything that is bad. We'll go back over to the conversation here. We're going to squash and merge, squash and merge. And so now that is merged in there, I'm going to go and check that the resources have been destroyed. They have. I'm going to go ahead and git checkout main. We're now in main. I'm going to do a git pull because I'm paranoid that it's not up to date. And it actually did change, so that's good that we did pull. If we don't pull, then we could end up tagging the wrong commit. And that's something we should just double check here. I'm not sure if it shows tags over here. But yeah, just always pull if you can. Now I'm like thinking that we might have tagged something wrong. Can we check our source here? Let's just double check here. 1.30, 1.20, 1.1. Because basically it's every time we merge in, we basically tag, right? Notice that these tags are on the same commit. Uh-oh, so we got a mistake here. We can fix that though. So the next one is supposed to be git tag 1.4.0, git push tags. And the reason I know that I made that mistake is because I'm just remembering, I don't remember doing a pull one time. And it's because this thing doesn't always appear, and that's the problem. So we'll close this. It can't be me, it's the technology, right? We'll close all these windows here. We'll give this a refresh. And so, yeah, we have a tag that's messed up here. It's 1.10. So what we'll have to do is remove that tag. So we'll have to say git tag, I think it's -delete. Let's look it up. How to delete a local and remote tag git. And so we have git tag D for local, and then the other one's origin. So I kind of remember that. We'll bring this in here because this seems like a good reference. Go to the top here. And we'll just say fixing tags. Paste this in here. Oops. How to delete local and remote tags on Git. And so we're just going to be more careful about checking our path or our Git graph. And so I know that this is one way of doing it. So we'll go here. And for the other one here, remote, it's going to be this. Take that out. Locally delete a tag. Remotely delete a tag. And we need to do both those. Okay, so first we're going to do git tag D. It's 1010. I think we messed up here. Yes, so it should be, we made two mistakes because we had, let me double check here. So we have 9.0, that makes sense. There's that one. So this one's correct, and so it's 1.10 should be the restructure. So it should be right here. That's where the tag should be, okay? So we want to get rid of 1.10. So I'm going to hit enter. And so that got rid of it locally, but we need to get rid of it in production as well. So we'll go back here and we'll do git push -- delete origin, and then we'll do 1.10 and we'll push that. We'll go back over here, double check that that tag is gone. It is. There's no more 1.10. We're going to go ahead and correct that. So we'll go back to our git graph, and I need to check out this one here. Okay. So we do have a lot of options here to get to that. I'm going to show you a way to, oh, we can create a tag right here. Well, hey, let's do that. Okay. We'll create a tag right here. Oh, I don't trust this. I don't know what I'm looking at. I've never seen this before, so I'm not confident with that. I want to check out this one here. I will do it the old school way. That'll work in everything. And so what I want to find here is this commit here. So over on the right-hand side, we can grab this commit SHA. So every commit has like a SHA attached to it, if that makes sense. It's kind of like a fingerprint to say like where this commit is. And if we go on the right hand side, maybe it's this button here, copy the full SHA. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to go back over here. And I think what we can do is say git checkout. And then I can paste this here like this, the SHA. And now we should be there. And so notice that the orange line is, I can't tell where we are. Let me double check here. Close this here, refresh. We should be checked out on this, right? So let's double check here. So it says, your local changes to the following files will be overridden on checkout. Please commit them. Well, what did we change in this file? Anything? Oh, we were documenting the tag changes. Okay, that's fair enough. So I'm going to stash this for a second. Git add all, git stash save. Okay, because we don't want to get rid of that documentation. And I'm just going to go here and check that out there. And it says, you're now in a detached head. Okay, you can look around, make experimental changes, and commit them and discard them. So we're in a detached head mode. And so notice where the head is. That is where we are right now. So now we can tag on this part. So we can say git tag 1.10. And so now this should be tagged there. We'll give that a refresh. And so it's tagged here. We need to push that tag, git push tags. Good. And so that tag is now pushed. And now we've checked out version 1.10. We're not on that commit anymore, SHA commit. So we can go git checkout main. Okay. And we'll do clear. The great thing about tags is we can check out the tags, right? But now our tagging is corrected. We have our stash here. I want to bring that back. I really don't feel like making a pull request just to add that information. But I guess the thing is that we haven't really had a use for the 1.4 or the minor patch, and I guess that is kind of a correction. So what we can do is use this to correct our changes. So I'm going to do a git stash apply. Okay, and that's going to bring in our documentation here. And there's a few things that we did here that was useful. We check out the commit that you want to retag. Okay, grab the SHA from your GitHub history. So this would be git checkout, right? Like this, git checkout SHA. And then we git tag, tag version, major, minor patch. Then we'd have git push tags, git checkout main. Okay, so those are the things that you'll have to do to correct it. That's basically what we did. Okay, but we have this here. And just say add fixing tags. You generally don't want to commit on main, but again, it depends on your project. Some folks might allow you to do that. You might have to create a new branch for that. I don't want to create new branches for every little change here today. So I'm just going to do this, and we're going to just sync those changes. I'm going to do git tag 1.4.1. Okay. Just double check where we are here. There we go. Yeah. And so I'm going to do that, and we'll say git push tags. And there we go. So, yep, we're done there. And just coming back to our architectural diagram, we have the S3 bucket up. The reason why we can't access it is that we either have to open up the bucket policies. Well, we have to set a bucket policy for sure, probably. But normally you have to unblock because S3 buckets by default are blocked from the internet. So we could open them up and access that way. But the only way I want us to access the S3 bucket is through a CloudFront distribution, because that is the best way, the safest way to do it. So the next video will be focusing on this other side here, okay? So we'll see you in the next one. Before we go away, just make sure you shut down your Gitpod environment, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.